Imagine a man standing in a pressurized capsule at the edge of space, heart pounding as he braces for a leap into the unknown, with Earth a fragile orb so far below and so achingly beautiful, and you can practically feel the cold metal of the capsule beneath his gloves, the hiss of pure oxygen filling his suit, and the weight of every expectation crushing down on him, all because he dared to dream bigger than gravity itself. This was Felix Baumgartner, poised at 128,000 feet, a tiny figure against the blackness of the stratosphere, yet destined to shatter records, headlines, and hearts across the world. But behind the glory lay a chilling truth you won't find in the triumphant headlines, not unless you dig through the layers of secrecy, the overwritten telemetry, the hushed boardroom whispers, the after-action briefs scrubbed clean of any trace of real danger, and this video will take you through every horrifying detail of that jump. That moment when ambition collided with mortal risk and nearly claimed a life. Just seconds before launch, his pulse spiked. Engineers noticed irregularities in the suit's pressure sensors. Microleaks not visible to the naked eye but enough to erode the margin between success and a fatal decompression. And yet the mission continued, not out of recklessness, but out of a compelling narrative of human achievement, a storyline vetted by marketers and sponsors who wanted a hero more than a cautionary tale. No one wanted to sideline the story now known as Bull Stratos. But, as you'll discover, real life doesn't follow marketing scripts. As the capsule ascends, the view grows darker, colder, lonelier, and the outside pressure drops to near vacuum, and you'll feel a chill not only from the drop in nitrogen levels but from the tension building among mission control, where engineers debated in whispers whether the suit could handle cosmic rays and micrometeoroids. But most alarmed of all were the oxygen regulators. They were straining under conditions that exceeded every lab test. And records later showed fluctuations in FiO2 levels that, while technically within operational range, teetered dangerously close to hypoxia. But they moved forward. Then came the moment that would define Baumgartner's legacy. The hatch opened, a frozen silence before he stepped into the abyss, the first man to stand in the doorway between Earth and space, a testament to human daring, until his descent began and everything started to unravel. As he leapt, adrenaline surged, and cameras caught the breathtaking free fall, but telemetry recorded the initial jolt that defied expectations. A violent buffeting caused by unexpected stratospheric turbulence. Engineers back on Earth watched wide-eyed as gyroscope readings spiked, but those details never made the highlight reels. Seconds turned to a minute, and Felix accelerated to Mach 1.24, breaking the sound barrier, a feat immortalized in footage. But what you're about to learn is that the suit's outer shell heated unevenly, creating stress points around the neck and glove seams, compromising thermal protection. Every flame-red headline about his supersonic freefall ignored that detail. Yet those stress fractures spread like microscopic cracks, invisible until the suit's delicate integrity was compromised. At around 50,000 feet, he deployed his parachute, but something went wrong. The main chute lines twisted, rotating the canopy into a sideways orientation, triggering a violent spin. The freefallers watching later called it the spiral from hell. Imagine the sensation, your world spinning, disorienting your vision, severing communication clarity, and triggering an emergency release sequence in the suit's stabilization system. A high-tempo procedure drilled until exhaustion, but this time under real pressure. Felix managed to cut away the failing chute, but in doing so activated the reserve, and that's when mission control saw something even more chilling. Unexplained latency and pressure readings inside the reserve, potential chafe damage sustained during repackaging, and a valve that wasn't closing fully. It took precious seconds to sort it, and those seconds felt like hours in the sky. When the reserve finally opened, the descent slowed, but not before Felix suffered a transient blackout, likely caused by partial hypoxia compounded with the intense spinning, and those vital moments of unconsciousness extended his downward journey by nearly 2,000 feet. You may have only seen him land upright, but behind the scenes there was medical staff scrambling, trauma teams standing by, and an evacuation plan ready to rush him to a hyperbaric chamber if needed. Instead, he walked away, but you'll hear expert testimony explaining how even a short blackout at altitude can trigger cognitive aftershocks, microneural damage, and lasting PTSD, details carefully omitted from every celebratory clip. In the following days, redacted reports from Aerostar and Spaceship Company, the companies behind the tech, revealed discrepancies in suit testing protocols. They'd validated structural integrity up to Mach limits, but only in static labs, never in dynamic spin conditions, and those guidelines were buried in legal fine print. When federal safety boards reviewed the case, the records showed boardrooms deciding to delay full disclosure until after marketing deadlines. Decisions that sparked lawsuits, yet press releases framed everything as part of brand storytelling rather than life or death risk management. You'll be taken through the internal logs, memos with phrases like contain messaging, control narrative, prioritize mission continuity, and note avoid hypoxia mentions, phrasing you'd expect in propaganda, not space mission management. And then there's the psychological toll. Felix was open about his exhilaration post-landing, but confidential interviews with psychologists suggest he underwent weeks of overwhelming anxiety, disorientation, flashbacks of spinning out of control, the kind of trauma you don't overcome by telling yourself "I'm fine" in front of TV cameras. He refused early offers to testify in hearings unless he could speak openly about the trauma. And even then his words were softened, edited, turned into sound bites to protect investor sentiment. You'll discover the hidden human cost. A man hailed as a pioneer and surrendered to prolonged therapy sessions, haunted by visions of that moment when triumph almost spiraled into tragedy. And that's not all. New documents show internal emails discussing possible suit redesigns, defective valves, sealed mushrooms of risk left unresolved, and costs projected at millions to retrofit before any future jump, but management diverted funds, labeling it non-essential design luxury. In short, they gambled again, with someone else's life. As you watch, you'll also learn why none of the contractors have faced real consequences. Clauses in the sponsorship contract include deep indemnity shields and non-liability clauses disguised under marketing jargon, and when claims appeared on the horizon. The contracts were simply interpreted to mean force majeure in case of unspecified excess risk, and damages were quietly settled out of court. Even NASA scientists interviewed off the record called it a textbook case of corporate risk layering, warning that without transparent oversight, future missions will follow the same pattern under glossy promotion and hidden exposure. And the most shocking part? This wasn't just about one man's daring leap, it was a blueprint for privatized space stunts run more like Hollywood premieres, where fallibility is masked behind livestream filters and the public fed adrenaline-charged myths instead of technical reality. If oversight fails, so do we. So do countless explorers lured by confident facades and oblivious to the fine print of safety. As you digest these revelations, you'll realize you're watching something that transcends sensationalism. It's a critical reckoning with how we gamble with human aspiration in return for viral fame and record-breaking ad revenue, and it forces you to ask, have we crossed a line where achievement matters more than accountability, where marketing triumphs over truth and silence over scrutiny? This story demands your attention, because Felix Baumgartner's dramatic descent wasn't just a moment in history, it was a mirror showing how far we'll go to elevate heroes, even at the cost of burying their scars. And if you scroll past this video, you'll miss more than a story, you'll miss a warning.